I hope everyone is good and in best of health. So, before I start, I will share my screen. So, I hope my screen is visible to everyone. Can I get a thumbs up? My screen is visible to everyone.
Hello, Vivek sir. Your voice is not audible properly.
Is it audible now?
Yeah, it is, sir.
And is my screen visible?
Yes, sir.
So, hello everyone. Well, as you can see that my name is Vivek Sapkota, and I have 8 years of experience when it comes to penetration testing. So I have worked in different domain of security, uh, which one of the subdomain of one of the branches is pen testing. But apart from pen testing, I have worked on different domains like dark web monitoring, surface web monitoring, and then conducting different types of phishing attacks just to check the readiness of the envoys in terms of cyber or social attacks. And I've worked for I've done pen testing for web applications and then network, and I've also performed red teaming. So on all together, I have 8 years of experience. And when it comes to my certification, just a second. Okay. And when it comes to my certification, and then I'm ECSA certified, CRTP certified, which is certified red team professional, and I'm OCP certified, which is offensive security certified professional. So, sharing one of my experience here today, I'll be sharing, very important tool when it comes to pen testing, and that is Nmap, which is also known as network mapper. And this Nmap is available into different variant. One is your graphical user interface, and the other one is the command line interface. So when we say graphical user interface, the Nmap is known as Zenmap, which we can easily install in any Windows operating system, and it can be installed on Linux machine as well. But the one which we use is Nmap, and it is completely command line interface. So Nmap has been a very handy tool. It has been a very helpful tool for all the pen tester in terms of network pen testing, or sometimes conducting uh, scanning for application also, or for the web server. So today we will be focusing on network scanning. So when we say network scanning, what does network scanning refer here is? Network scanning refers to the use of a computer network to gather information regarding computing systems. Network scanning is mainly used for security assessment, system maintenance, and for performing attacks by the hacker. So, when we say network scanning, so network scanning, mainly gives us information about the ports, the open ports, and also information about the closed port, and what kind of services is running on that, and what is the version of the services. So this is the information which we try, to gather using Nmap. And once we have the informations which is collected by Nmap, then we go for a further enumeration or further exploitation, depending upon the version which we have by scanning. So when we say about types of scanning, there are different types of scanning, but here I have listed only three types of scanning, which is port scanning. And this port scanning will help us to list out all open ports and the services which is running on the port. And then we have network scanning, which is used to list all the IP addresses on the network. And then we also can perform vulnerability scanning, which is basically used to discover the presence of known vulnerabilities. For an example, let's say we're using Windows operating system, or we are using Linux operating system. Now, if we need to identify a vulnerability on that particular operating system, then what we're going to do is we're going to perform an Nmap scan, and this scan will give us the entire vulnerability. Okay. If it is vulnerable to any of the vulnerability, then the Nmap will give us the result. Now, before we jump into scanning, it's very important for us to know what our TCP flags is, and what significance this displays on when we perform a scan. So there are 6 different TCP flags, which is transmission control protocol flags. And if you list out all the flags, the one is synchronization. Now this flag, the first sync flags, will represent the establishment of a new connection between two. So whenever you're trying to initiate a connection, whenever you're trying to build up a connection between two hosts or two devices, the very first flag which goes is synchronization. Then you have fin flag. So this flag represents that there will be no more transmission of packet from one host to another as connection is terminated gracefully after computations of the transmission. So when you have to terminate a connection, so then at that time you need a fin flag. So in case if you are trying to terminate a connection, so fin flag will come to play here. Then the next one is push, that is PSH. This flag represents buffer data is pushed by the sender ends, and the receiver should be informed about the buffer data. So see, when we transmit the data, all the flag or all the data does not goes at once. There are some data which is in buffer memory. Now, when we have to push that buffer memory data, and we use push flag. Then the next flag is urge flag, which is known as urgent flag. When we have to send any of the data in priority, then the urgent flag is used. And then we have the ACP flag, which is basically for acknowledgement when you have sent the data and the receiver receives it. Then the receiver will send you an acknowledgement stating that whatever content he or she was trying to extract is available for them. So that is what acknowledgement flag will receive. Then the last one is RST, which is known as reset flag. So this flag is used to end the connection, which means there will be no transmission between two hosts. So basically, reset flag will end the connection, and which will state that there will be no further transmission of data between two devices or any parties. Now, the next thing which we need to understand is TCP header. So when we send any data, and if it is using a TCP protocol, because if you recall and go back to OSI model, Open System Interconnection Model, there are 7 different layers present, right? Starting from application, then presentation, session layer, then transport layer, then the network layer, data link, and then physical layer. So when you transmit the data to the other user or to other devices. So if the transport layer is using a TCP protocol, that means this is the header. So this header contains so many different types of information like source code, destination, sequence number, acknowledgement number. Then you have all these flags, window size, checksum, urgent pointer. So this is how TCP header will look like. And in the same, if the transport layer is using UDP protocol, which is user data run protocol, then there are only set of information, these 4 informations which are available. One is source code, destination code, length, and checksum. So if we come to the difference of UDP and TCP header, or UDP protocol or TCP protocol, then UDP, TCP is a reliable protocol which will give you guarantee about delivery of the packet. And in case if your packet is not delivered, then it will give you an acknowledgement stating that your packet is not being delivered. Whereas in UDP, it's not a reliable connection and it will not guarantee you any packet delivery. And then the next thing which we need to understand is three-way handshake. Okay, this is a very common kind of handshake which is being used. Whenever you try to establish a connection between you and the server, the first thing what it will send is synchronization. And once the synchronization is being received to the server will respond back with synchronization plus acknowledgement. And once the client gets what they want, the client will send an acknowledgement to the server, and finally this will establish your connection. Okay. And coming to types of scan, there are different types of scan. It's not limited to only 5 different scan which you are able to see them. But there are different types of scan. But majorly focused on this 5 different types of scan, which is TCP full connect scan, then still mode scan, XMOS scan, ping scan, and null scan. So all the scan can be performed by a tool called Nmap. So any questions, anything you can just drop in the chat. Asif, you're there?
Yes, sir, I'm here.
Is that they can ask question like
Yeah, I have done on the chat.
but I cannot see the chat here.
Let me turn on the mic also.
Yeah, I think it's good if you turn on the mic.
Okay.
And you all are able to see my screen, right? The VMware which I have just started. You're able to see this VMware?
Yes.
So now what I have done here is I have 2 different operating systems. One is your Kali, which is our which is our attacker machine, and then the other one which we have is a Metasploiter, which is our victim machine. So now what we will do is just log into Kali, and after we log into Kali, the tool which we will use is Nmap. So here we will open up the terminal, and just to understand more about Nmap, we can just write here man Nmap, and this will give us the entire information about what Nmap is. So if you see here, Nmap, which stands for Network Mapper, is an open source tool for network exploration and security auditing. It was designed to rapidly scan large network, although it works fine against single host. Nmap uses raw IP packets and probabilities to determine what hosts are available on the network, what services those hosts are offering, what operating system they are running, and what type of packet filter firewalls are in use, and a dozen of other characteristics. While Nmap is commonly used for security audit, many system and network administrators find it useful for routine tasks such as network inventory, managing services, upgrades, releases, and monitoring host or service upgrade. So this is the complete description about Nmap. And apart from this, if you want to know, the basic command in Nmap, then what you can do is you can just write nmap-h, press enter, you will get all different types of command which you can use in Nmap. So there are different commands which we can use. If I'll scroll it down, let me quickly clear the screen. Okay, so now the first thing what we're going to do is we're going to identify that how many hosts are there in our network, since we know that there is only one host, Metasploiter. But still, we will use a command called netdiscover or ARP scan to find out all hosts. So what we can do is we can use ARP scan space -L. So this will send an ARP request to all the hosts which is up and running. Enter, and then you can see that these are the hosts which are up and running. So you can see that this is the IP address of Metasploiter. Still, you can use NBT scan. This is basically an NetBIOS scan to identify, the NetBIOS name also. Enter. Let's see if we can get Metasploiter or not. If you can see here, we got Metasploiter, which is a server, and this is our target computer. So the IP address of Metasploitable is 192.168.83.1.2. So let me clear the screen. And the first command which we can use is nmap -s capital T. So when we say -s capital T is an nmap full connect scan. So this is nmap full connect scan. And now we'll just mention the IP address of the target, which is 129, and press enter. So this will give us the entire port which is up and running. So if you can see here, port number 21 is open, port number 40 which is open by so on. So these are the different ports which are. So here you can see the port state and service. Port number is this, the state is open, and you can see the service which is using this port is FTP, SSH standard, SMTP, main, a login, shells. There are so many different types of services which are running. So this was, first type of scan, which was full connect scan. So when we perform a full connect scan, a three-way handshake is built. So when a three-way handshake is built, a proper, synchronization, there is SAC, and the acknowledgement is sent to others. Now there is other type of scan, which is your stealth mode scan, and which is nmap-s capital S. So when we say stealth mode scan, this is stealth mode scan. So in stealth mode scan, you will get the same output, and the output won't differ, from the scan which you conducted in the link. So we'll write 192.168.83.129. And if I press enter, I get the same output. But the difference here is, you just need to see the difference. What is the difference between these scans? If you're running stealth mode scan, first it is sending synchronization flag, and then the target is sending synchronization plus acknowledgement. So instead of sending acknowledgement, because this portion is for acknowledgement, here you can observe that it is sending RST. So RST is BC. So this is what half open scan is. So basically, this is used when we have to hide ourselves, and when we want the log not to be generated, because whenever you try to initiate a connection between two parties, the log file is generated at the target service. So when the log file is generated, it is very easy for the target to verify who has tried to scan or who has tried to. So for that reason, what we do is we use a stealth mode scan, and the stealth mode scan will not generate a log file, and it becomes easy for the attacker to hide the error. So these are two different types of scan. Any questions on stealth mode scan or scan? Any questions?
Sir, can you repeat the process again?
The process is very simple to connect to conduct a TCP full connect scan. We're going to use that type of a scan.
Sir, not the command, just the process of stealth scan.
Synchronization first,
Yeah,
and then
okay.
synchronization plus acknowledgement and RST.
This is what TCP full.
Yeah, this is for half open scan, not TCP full connect scan.
Okay.
TCP full connect scan is this.
Okay.
Any other questions? Anyone? Questions? Okay. Now we'll come to the next type of scan, which is your inverse scan. So within inverse scan, there are three different types of scan which falls. One is Xmas scan. The next is your field scan. And the third one is null scan. So if you go back to people, you can see here Xmas scan, field scan, and null scan. So this is said to be inverse scan. Now inverse scan, the concept behind inverse scan is different, because here also we'll try to identify open records. Now Xmas scan, in Xmas scan, what happens is that you will try to send three flags at once. The flag will be fill, push, and urge. So this flag goes at once to the target. And if you don't get any response from them, that means we should consider code as good. And if we get RST, that means code is close. So if no response, that means no response. That means code is. And if we select, that means code is close. Okay. So if you don't get any response, that means code is open, and if reset, code is closed. So this is something which completely happens in background. But you won't be able to see. But this is how XML scan works. Then we have fin scan. So fin scan will only send one flag, that is fin flag. And the result is same. If no response, port is open and reset, port is closed. And the last one we have is null scan. So null scan, there will be no exchange of the flag. And this will also have the same output that means no response, that is port is open, and reset, that means port is closed. So we'll go back here and we'll try to quickly perform. First is XML scan. -S, capital X. Okay, this is for XML scan, -S, capital X. And then we'll mention the IP address. So once we mention the IP address, what we will do is just to monitor that how many flags goes at once, we'll use one good handy, which is known as TCP dump. And this will capture all the requests, okay, all the traffic. So if I press enter, and if I go here, you can see that there are three different flags which goes at once. Okay, fin, push, urge. So F stands for fin, E stands for push, U stands for urge. So fin, push, urge. These three flags goes at once. Okay. So F stands for fin, E stands for push, U stands for urge. So that is what XML scan is. So in XML scan, we are sending three flags at once. So basically, why inverse scan? You might have a question why we are using inverse scan, although we have TCP full connect scan and still scan. So sometimes your TCP full connect scan or half open scan can be dropped by firewall. So there can be firewall which can be a target system or a target infrastructure which will not allow the traffic to flow. So in that case, just to bypass this, we can use any one type of scan. Can be a scan, can be a scan, or it can be a scan. So now coming to fin scan, the command is pretty simple. What we need to do is instead of writing -S capital X, we just write -S capital F. And then we'll mention the IP address. And press enter. So this will give us the same output. Okay, so there won't be any change in the output. But if I run the TCP dump again, so let me write here TCP dump to capture the traffic, enter. And I'll just go ahead with this command one more time, enter. You can see that there is only one flag which goes, and that is the fin flag. And the one which you see with R is a reset flag. And when the reset flag will come to you, that means the port is closed. Okay. So it is sending only one flag, which is fin flag. And the next type of scan is null scan. So in null scan, there is no flag which goes. So Nmap -S capital N. So this is a command for null scan. And we have to mention the IP address. And let me start the TCP dump again. And let's go back here, press enter. You can see that there is no flag which goes at this point. So these are all inverse scan. Okay, so I'll just write a command here for your reference. Nmap -S capital X and then the IP address. And for fin scan, you write Nmap -S capital F and then the IP address. And for null scan, you write Nmap -S capital N and then the IP address. So this is what inverse scan is. Any questions?
Hello.
Yeah.
Yeah. So just a quick question. When we are doing the inverse scan, so that means only the halfway communication is happening, but
we are not responding to the server, right?
See, yes, we are not responding to the server. It's like, I'll give you one simple example. See, a default process of initiating a connection is by using synchronization flag. So that is a default, right? I mean, whenever we try to build up a connection with the server, we are sending synchronization at the very beginning. Okay.
Hmm.
Now here, what we are doing is we are trying to send something which is not useful, just completely unuseful. So when we are sending any unusual, flags, so what happens is the server is not able to understand. So when the server is not able to understand, what it does is it will drop the packet. Okay. And now, when the port is open, it will not give you a response. I mean, see, it's like you have 10 doors. You have 10 doors, you start knocking to each and every door. So the one which is, I mean, the one which have someone inside that door will start responding by opening the door, right? And the one which does not have anyone will not respond. So what we are trying to do here is we are trying to knock each and every door. I mean, we are trying to knock each and every door. So the one which is open will, will be able. I mean, we will be able to identify that whether the port is open or not by using different types of. Getting my point?
Okay. Acha, second question. When we are doing the inverse scan in the TCP dump, I've seen some we are getting the fin or the RST or the urge flag.
Right.
So are these the no response, and that means the port open?
See, we are sending these three different flags at once. Okay. We are sending these three different flags at once. And once the server, I mean, the server only understands synchronization when it comes to initiating a connection. They don't understand ping to urge, but we're sending it. The reason why we're sending it is because we are sending something unusual, which they don't understand. And when there is no response, see, it's very simple. If I'll ask you your name, so let's say I'm asking you what is your name, you'll be able to answer it, isn't it? You'll say my name is so and so. Okay. But let's say if I'll ask you the same question in some other languages which you don't understand. So what you'll do is you'll drop that question because you won't, I mean, you're not able to understand the question. Isn't it?
Okay.
So the same thing, when we are sending a server something they understand, they're accepting it, they're responding. But if you're sending it something which they don't understand, they will drop the packet. They will drop the question or they will drop the request. So when they drop a request, that means the activity is happening because they're dropping a request. And when this request gets dropped, we can identify the port is open. Because if the port is open, that's the reason it's dropping it, right? Or it could have sent a reset. If it has sent a reset, that means we should consider the port as closed. Because we will only get reset when the port is closed. But since it's a dropping the packet, that means it is not understanding and it does not know how to respond. So that is the reason it's dropping the packet. And when it drops the packet, that means we should consider it as a neutral. I mean, not us, but the Nmap will consider it as a neutral.
Okay, understood.
Okay.
One last question only.
Sure.
When we are doing the Nmap scan, in the inverse scan, are we exposing ourselves on the server? Means is my data is getting captured on the server in the log files of the DNS?
See, it's not your data, but it's a traffic which gets logged. Because now there are so many different types of technology which has come up, right? If you can see, we have a cyber defense center where we will have all sort of tools like, see things like Splunk, and which has been, which is integrated with all defensive mechanism tools like IDS, firewall, involves. So, all this will be captured. It's not that it will not be captured, but this will be captured. Okay, but it will see. I mean, firewall it works on our policy. Whatever policy has been defined by us, right? So if you are sending too much of request, it will block you. But what if you're sending a request but in a fragmented manner? That means your request does not goes at once. So it will be in a piece of chunks. So when it goes in a piece of chunks, that means it becomes difficult for anyone. I mean, it becomes difficult for the tool which is placed there to identify what is happening. See, if you send, if you go 10 people at the same time, I mean, let's take an example of our school days when we used to bunk our classes. I mean, when 10 has to go out of the class, what we used to do, we used to go one by one. Because
Yeah.
if 10 of us, if we 10 of us will go, I mean, the teacher will easily identify or find out that there is something, fishy which is happening or necessary which is happening. So what we used to do was we used to go one by one. And when we used to go one by one, it was a very good, the chances of getting detected was very big because we are going one by one and it is not creating a chaos. So the same way, it works here. So if we are sending too much of traffic to firewall, they will easily understand that there is something which is, there can be something which malicious activities happening. But if you're sending the same packet in a fragmented manner, that means the firewall, will sometimes consider those packets.
Okay, understood. Thanks a lot.
Any other questions you have? Anyone?
Yes, sir.
Please come up with the questions.
Sir, you explain all these types of scans, sir. So, which is the best one scan among these?
See, we cannot say which is the best one or which is the worst one because it completely depends upon the scenario. Okay? Sometimes still code scan can work, sometimes it won't. Sometimes TCP full connect scan can work, sometimes it not. Sometimes there might be firewalls so you have to use a reverse scan or you have to fragment the packet. So it depends completely on the scenario, what kind of scenario you in, and you have to try using all different types of scan. If you get an output before TCP full connect scan, that is very good. And if you don't, then you have to go with some other scan.
Okay, sir.
Any other questions? Anyone? Any questions? Anyone have any questions? See, it's not, the scan is not unique. Whatever I have discussed or whatever I have explained, that is not, I mean, it is not possible for anyone to elaborate or explain Nmap. I mean, Nmap itself is used, but here I'm just giving the basic understanding that how Nmap works. And you can explore Nmap. There are so many other things which you can explore. There are different types of command, there are different types of argument, there are different types of script. So there are a lot to do with that. So what I want is, you should get a proper exposure of Nmap. So it is only possible if you start exploring Nmap. So there are different materials, there are different videos which are available on YouTube or any other platform. Can go through it, understand Nmap, because this tool is really and it's a standard, I mean, it's an industry tool, so that most of the pen testers will perform, network pen testing, they rely on Nmap. So it's like a right hand of any pen tester. So, I mean, you can understand how important Nmap is when it comes to pen testing of a network infrastructure or performing. So yeah, there are a lot of things to explore. Anyone having any questions? I would love to take the questions. So it seems that I have explained it so well that everyone has understood what I have explained here. So that is the reason. And is it? I ask it. You there?
Yes, sir.
If they have any questions, they can also connect with that.
Okay, guys, if you are having any questions, just let let Vivek know if anyone is having any question. Okay, I think, sir, they are having questions. No, sir. Yeah. So, yeah, thank you for the session, Vivek, sir.
Yeah, thank you so much, Asim, for inviting me as a guest for this forum. And really, I mean, I would really appreciate and I would be thankful to have a similar kind of session in future also, that I can share my experience, that I can share my knowledge, and assist each and every one of you to enhance skill and knowledge of society. Okay. All right, so I think we are good, and thank you so much for attending this session also. And yeah, have a wonderful bye. Thank you, Asim. Thank you so much.
Okay, sir. Bye bye.
Thanks a lot.